All right. All right.
Yes, we are in week 11. I'm 8-2, so
Okay.
that means
Okay. Okay. That's funny. You're 8-2, and I see your Jason Witten jersey right behind you, 82.
oh yeah, that's right.
All right. What's up, everyone? Week 11, League of Winners, year number 5. We have El Numero Uno, the number 1 seed, Samuel Garza. We have Scott, and we have myself, your typical weekly podcasters. Um, so let me pull this up on my screen, and then I'll share my screen. We can look over the standings first, then we'll go over the matchups.
Have you secured us a sponsor yet?
No, still still working on it. All right, so let's look at these standings. Sam just so strong at top 8-2. Justin and I both 7-3. Scott the 4 seed 6-4. And then look at this 5-6 seed. We have 4 teams that are 5-5, all battling for those 2 spots. And then you have some guys trying to make a late run, Chad, RJ, Mario, Johnny. But with only 4 weeks left, it kind of feels like every week's kind of a must win for some of these bottom teams.
Yeah, because that would put them at 7-7 if they went out.
Yeah, and it feels like 7 wins might be enough to make the playoffs if you have a strong tiebreaker.
Hmm.
And so yeah, like I don't I know Scott, you mentioned the one day what these playoff chances, how they're calculated. I don't buy too much into it. But if we see here, other than the top 4 teams, ESPN is predicting Mike gets in, and then Kevin would get in, which would mean Dan, after that hot start, wouldn't be able to reach one of those 6 playoff spots. Like I just find it hard to
What's
believe.
what's Mike at percentage wise? It's a little blurry here.
60,
So he's even though he's the fourth of those four teams, he's got the highest odds.
according to ESPN. Yeah,
See the
Yeah.
schedule.
So that's just predicting your future points scored with your current record. It takes your current record and then how many games you're likely to win based on your predicted points scored.
gotcha. So yeah, I mean it's real interesting, Scott. You predicted like 3 weeks ago Kevin had a good team. He finally got healthy. He's won three
Yeah.
straight or something. He beat me last week.
Yeah,
Um,
I've been a believer in Kev for a while now, and I don't like that he's only a game behind me. Same with all of those guys.
yeah, and we'll touch on your game later.
Just like 2 weeks ago, I was in tied for first, and now I got four guys right on my heels.
Yeah, well, I'll touch on it when we get to yours and Dan's matchup. But Dan was talking that stuff against your team last night.
Okay.
And if we look at the points scored, um, Justin's leading, Sam's number 2, I'm the third, Scott, you're the fourth. Then it takes a pretty big drop, goes all the way down to the 1100s. Kev, poor Chad, 6th highest scoring team, but sitting at 3-7. Um, and Johnny still hasn't broke 1,000. And actually, I was looking at the schedules, and that's part of the bit that I'll show you guys. Johnny and Mario play against each other next week. That could be the game to determine who gets out of last place.
Headlamp game.
All right. So, Sam, do you have anything you want to touch on with these standings or points scored before we head off to my little surprise for everyone?
No, looks good to me.
Sweet. And Sam, the crazy thing is, Justin is sitting in between us, still plays you and me during these last 4 games.
That's gonna be. It's gonna be so good. It's gonna be so good.
All right, so let me unshare my screen real fast and I can make sure I have the right thing pulled up. All right, so I calculated everyone's wins in this league and I looked at everyone's schedules and I created a strength of schedule the last 4 weeks based on wins your opponents have. Very cool, in my opinion, very nerdy. Here's the strength of schedule for the rest of the year, easiest to hardest. Scott, your last 4 opponents have 16 total wins left. You have the easiest schedule based on record, not based on buys, matchups, anything, just simply based on wins of your opponents.
Rat poison.
What does that mean?
And that means it's all noise.
Yeah. Well,
Doesn't mean anything.
I think it's cool noise, but we keep going down. Dan's got the second easiest, and we go down. Here I wrote Justin. So Justin plays myself and Sam still, but then he also plays 2 3-win teams. And then RJ, who has to win out, has the brutal schedule of his opponents still have 24 wins left.
Oh man, that's just crazy. And I'm playing RJ this weekend. I
Yes, yes, you are. And if you win, his season's all but over.
sorry, RJ, it's gonna happen.
And Scott, you actually played Dan this week, so winner could have a huge advantage of clinching one of those couple last spots. Mike seems like he might be in good shape. I wonder if ESPN, I wonder if the percentage, Scott, I know you said points scored. I wonder if it varies based on anything with your schedule.
Yeah, so it'll be your project. It'll take like it's your projected points per week, and it gives you like an odds to win each week. So
Gotcha.
it'll factor in like your bye weeks and all that. I don't know if you've ever like when you've done a trade, like it says this is what we project your total points this week changes and your total points for the season changes by making that trade.
Yeah,
Hmm.
It's kind of like that.
gotcha. And I'm going to take a hot take right now. Johnny Militia will not come in last place in our league this year. I don't know who will, but I think Johnny might get out of it. He's been in it all year. I think he's gonna get out of it now that CMC's back. I think Johnny rallies 1 or 2 more wins throughout the year.
And
Uh,
Nick Chubb.
yeah,
Nick Chubb too.
yeah, and Nick Chubb. Johnny, you can win any week the rest of the year besides this week, so I'm playing you.
And the Calvin Ridley phenomenon.
Yeah, but I think we all know Calvin really will go for 33 straight weeks, and then he'll go for 2 points the next 3 weeks after that. So who knows with Calvin Ridley?
That's why it's a phenomenon.
Sam, just looking at these stats, do you have anything? I know, like Scott says, it's kind of just noise because it really doesn't mean much, but how do you feel being the fourth easiest schedule, trying to lock up one of those 2 seeds, 1 or 2 seeds?
Well, I don't know who I play. I mean, RJ, his team has been a little bit better lately, but I mean, do I play, Johnny? Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I know out of the 18 wins you're playing against, Justin has 7 of them because you still play Justin.
Oh, okay.
That means the other 3 teams have a total of 11 wins. So that
Wow.
must feel good for you.
Yeah,
But like Scott said, it's just kind of noise. Who knows? I just
it's
thought,
nice because yeah. I mean, you saw what happened to me. I lost Nico Collins and then freaking Rashee Rice back to back.
yeah,
That happens to me again. I'm done.
yeah, but
Right. And you could be playing, I don't know what this schedule looks like, but say you're playing Justin, you're playing, I know you are playing Justin next week, but what if he has, 2 guys on a bye? You know,
yeah,
you could play the best team in the league, but you could always catch them on a good week when half their team's on a bye week.
Yeah,
of course. Yeah, and Sam, I believe you and Justin played last game of the season.
we do. I know that one right there.
Oof. Could be the game for the 1 or the 2 seed at that point. All right, so let me pull up each matchup. All right. So we have my team versus Johnny's team. Johnny's team all of a sudden projected a nice point total for the week now that CMC's back. As of right now, I'm rolling out Bo Nix. He's got CJ Stroud against that really scary Dallas defense, Sam. Derrick Henry against the Steelers, CMC obviously. Aaron Jones against the Titans, who has a really good defense. Saquon is going tonight. I get DK back after 3 weeks or so, assuming he plays. Calvin Ridley against the Vikings, good defense. Scary Terry going tonight. Khalil Shakir. Mark Andrews, who's been on a heater. Remember that terrible start to the beginning of the year? Now he's a top 10 tight end, Scott.
He's
Yeah.
got like 3 or 4.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it just speaks
Mm,
to the craziness that is tight ends this year.
He's got 6 TDs in the last 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, that's a lot of touchdowns. Jake Ferguson's my tight end. I have no idea what to do at tight end, so I might just roll with Jakey. Sam, you're the Cowboys lover. Any advice with Jake Ferguson? What do I do?
Keep him in. Rush will throw to him.
All right. Um, Obviously the controversial trade of the week with George Pickens and DeAndre Swift. Um, my point of view of trading for George Pickens is that DeAndre Swift, though, has been a really nice running back, top 20 running back. Not many of them are on the trade market. I wanted to kind of boost my flex as well as my receivers because I like what Jalen Warren's been doing as a backup running back. Um, and in the playoffs, I am playing my two lead horses, Henry and Saquon. So unless DeAndre Swift were to get into my flex or bearing injury, he wouldn't be on my playoff roster. So that's kind of the reasoning why I traded DeAndre Swift for Pickens. George Pickens has been on a heater lately. I mean, he only scored 11 right before the bye, but George Pickens is super talented. Russell Wilson's throwing deep. George Pickens is a deep ball kind of threat. Um, so yeah, so that's kind of why I traded for George Pickens. Scott, Sam, what do you guys think about the actual trade itself?
I thought it was fair. I mean, I would have gone for it. I offered Nico for DeAndre Swift.
I should have done that deal.
You should have done that one. But look at his. I've always, especially at this time of year, I start looking at the playoffs. Look at who he plays in the playoffs: Philly, Baltimore, KC. Baltimore, you can throw on. KC, that's going to be very difficult.
Yeah, so I really love this matchup against Baltimore, the league's worst pass defense, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure Philly's got a pretty good pass defense in Kansas City, so don't love those two, but he still has two more games against the Browns with their horrible pass defense. Cincinnati hasn't really been able to stop anyone, so I expect these next couple weeks for George Pickens to be pretty nice. But when it comes playoff time, you're right, it could be pretty difficult. Scott, what do you think?
On the trade, well, I'm just going to address this quickly because I don't want you to bring all your negativity in here. Um, I vetoed it. I voted to veto. The reason being, you guys made the exact same trade earlier in the year. I'm not saying anything nefarious was afoot, but also it kind of appears like there could have been. Not saying either was. Looks like there could have been. Opens up the possibility. That's why I voted against it. If it was the only time the trade had been made, I'd have no problem with it. I do think you won the trade, even though, Swift has been a top 10 running back since the first trade was made. He's trending down. That offensive line in Chicago is disgusting and not in a good way. And George Pickens is trending upwards with Russell.
Yeah, dude,
Probably a top 15 receiver for the rest of the year.
I actually saw something today. You guys know the Dan Orlovsky, the guy on ESPN?
Yes.
He called for the Bears to bench Caleb Williams.
Well, you got to say stuff on ESPN. So, you know,
Fair.
Something that's going to make everybody go, "Ooh, he said that."
yeah.
So yeah, and
Tyson Bagent, I believe, is their backup. Um,
I don't know
no
that.
one wants to see that.
Yeah, and he's got Nick Chubb and some defenses. I'm still rolling with the Broncos though. They're playing the Falcons offense. My bench, I like what Jalen Warren's been doing. He's been getting more and more touches. Brian Thomas, I'm a little iffy on. I probably should have traded him when his market was super high, like right here. But that Jacksonville offense with Mac Jones looked awful last week. And then thankfully he's got Marvin Harrison on a bye. Should be a pretty good week. Should be a pretty close matchup. I need these two guys to get me off to a good start. If they get off to a good start, I'll like it. If not, then I think I'm going to be in some trouble. What do you guys think?
I
Go ahead.
think you'll be okay, but CJ Stroud's probably going to have a really good week. McCaffrey's going to have a good week. Calvin Ridley's the one that you don't know. I mean, I don't know. He's hot and then he's cold. I just don't like that guy. I don't
Yeah, I
like
mean,
that.
if Calvin Ridley has a Calvin Ridley day, then I'm going to lose. But if he has one of these days, then I'm probably going to win.
Yeah, and I mean Minnesota's got a good defense also, so it could be that you're all right.
I mean, look at this: 8 targets, 0 catches in week 6.
Goodness.
Scott, what do you think?
I think Nick Chubb is going to have a huge game this week. I don't think it's going to be enough. I'm going to pick you over Johnny, but look for Nick Chubb. I don't know what he's going to do down the stretch, but I see this week as him having a monster game. Maybe not fantasy wise, but real football wise. I think he'll probably hit 100 yards, probably get in the end zone. I think you'll see a little bit of vintage Nick Chubb this week. And then when that doesn't happen, just call me a Browns homer.
I mean, it'd be really cool to see Nick Chubb after that brutal injury to have him have a nice game, but hopefully it's not this week. Hopefully it's next week. So cool. We'll move on to Scott versus Dan. Wow, look at the score of their game so far, 0.2 to 0.1.
Wow, that's so close.
Um, so yeah, so Scott, yesterday in my weekly soccer game, Dan's on the team, and I was asking, like, are you nervous about your team? Like, he's lost three straight. His team got off to that 3 or 4-0 start or something like that. And he's like, no, I'm playing against Scott. He's lost two in a row. It's all good. uh, and I was telling him that's a big game, Scott versus Dan, because I think loser of this game makes a change to their team. I don't know who's going to win or lose, but I think the loser will make a change to their team. Because I know Dan's been talking to some people about shipping one of his guys. Scott, I know you've flirted the idea of making changes. Um, so I think the loser is going to make a change, especially if it's Dan, who would then fall to 5 and 6. Scott, you once jinxed Justin's team. Do you have anything you would like to say? You tried to jinx Sam's team the one week, it did not work. So let's try again with Dan this week.
Yeah, I'll just comment what you're talking about with changing things. Was I had some things working behind the scenes this week. Everything fell through. A couple things I
Can we
thought were
know?
close didn't happen.
Can we know a name?
You like a player
Yeah,
on my team,
either one.
uh, T. Higgins.
All right, looking to ship some T. Higgins.
It wasn't the only one, but that was a name floated out there. CD Lamb to a smaller degree too, but I'm the models still love him, so I'm gonna stick with him. Now to get to me versus Dan, um, I don't think this is a must-win game for either of us. I don't think it's a must-win, but it might be a can't lose for both teams. So I think that kind of builds off of your point. I think it
I don't
might be a
know.
can't lose.
I don't know what the hell a can't lose game means.
It means you can't lose.
Okay, so it's a must win.
I
No.
think it's easier for Scott you to lose. I mean, you'd be at 6-5, but if
Right, but I
Dan were
start
to
doing
lose,
irrational things when if I lose, I still will be in a solid spot, but I after three losses might start doing some irrational things, and that's what I've been trying to avoid this year.
so we're rooting for Dan then. So
Yeah,
Scott, hit me
I kind
up,
I
or
mean,
I'll
if
hit you up after. Okay.
of.
yeah, I'm especially I know what's coming in the next couple weeks with certain things. Yeah, I need Jaden to have a good game tonight. That would really make me happy. He needs to get out on the edge and use his legs. He hasn't been doing that. I know he's got the rib issue, but he needs to get out, use his legs, get on the edge, because those two rookie corners for the Eagles are pretty darn good.
Yeah, and so Jaden Daniels versus Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes had that like 2 game spurt. Not even really a 2 game spurt, just an 18 and 24, back down to around 16 points against Patrick
Yeah,
Surtain in the Denver
yeah,
Broncos.
Denver's good.
Yeah, they are. James Cook and Monty. Scott, I actually saw something that Monty has one more carry than Gibbs this year. It's crazy how they equalize each other.
Yeah,
Brees
Sonic
Hall,
and Knuckles.
And they're
Sonic,
so good together, man. They're so good together.
and then Brees Hall and Alvin Kamara. Kamara's just so legendary as a fantasy running back. It just seems like he never stops being good. Cooper Kupp against Devonte Adams, who has been disappointing as the Jets. Even this game where he scored 22, most of that was off a long touchdown. Um, Quentin Johnson, as of right now, the lineup, Scott. You knew I was going to eventually get down to Quentin Johnson. Last week, I'm pretty sure you had Quentin Johnson, and then you changed it last second. What are your thoughts about this week in Quentin Johnson?
Yeah, so last week, Quentin Johnson was in there. Higgins didn't play. I was debating it all week. I was debating it all Sunday morning. I ran it through the models Sunday morning. They spit out Quentin Johnson, one spit out Travis Etienne. Um, and I said last week I was going to use my gut, and my gut didn't know what to do. And I think I ended up playing Jamison Williams, and it wouldn't have mattered anyway. But yeah, right now it's Quentin Johnson. If T. Higgins plays, it'll probably be T. Higgins.
Yeah.
If T. Higgins doesn't play, it's between Quentin Johnson and Jerry Judy, who I picked up this week.
Nice. Jared Judy might get more volume, but I think Quentin Johnson's much more likely to catch a touchdown. And then Jawan Jennings, John is
Jaden, don't take those hits.
George Kittle. He's still the
Hold on a
number
second,
one
guys.
tight end. Must be nice to kind of have him back right after his bye. CeeDee Lamb, obviously, you still have to start him. Brian Robinson finally back. Dan actually offered me a trade for Brian Robinson yesterday.
Yeah, what was that?
It was nothing that was ever close.
Oh yeah, he was shopping Madison around for it to everyone.
I'll be right
Yeah.
back, guys.
Hey, there goes Brian Robinson. He just scored a touchdown. No,
Boom.
marking him down at the one.
Yep. And then Scott, you still have Travis Etienne. Talk us through, since Sam has to get up and go deal with something. Talk us through this Travis Etienne dilemma. He was your second overall pick, probably the most disappointing player in fantasy this year. Talk us through it.
I don't know if he's the most disappointing player in all of fantasy. He's sure been disappointed. Now Brian Robinson scored. Well, shit. Um, that's not good.
Who do you think might be more
Uh,
disappointing than ETN for where you drafted him?
I mean McCaffrey because he didn't play.
McCaffrey just might have one more big week and still be a higher ranked running back than.
Yeah, it might be ETN. I don't know. Um, I don't like Mac Jones being the quarterback.
Yeah, that offense looks atrocious right now.
So I don't know.
Yeah, Travis
It'd be
Etienne.
nice if they could get back to the offense where even if he's not getting 15 carries a game, he's catching 5 balls for 40 yards.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and it just see here that Brian Robinson fell into the end zone to give Dan a quick touchdown lead over you so far. So hopefully, for your sake, you can bounce back later with
yeah,
maybe a rushing touchdown out of Daniels.
yeah, that would be nice. I was thinking about this earlier because it's the Eagles and the Commanders of Jaden Daniels and Jalen Hurts. You know I'm a big Jalen Hurts guy.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they got down to the one there. That was Jalen Hurts. He's
Oh yeah.
getting that Russian touchdown. Jaden Daniels, nah, he's gonna hand it off.
Yeah, that tush push is annoying, especially coming from a Barkley
Yeah.
fan, not just a
So
fan.
let me ask you a quick question since we're still waiting for Sam.
Yep.
Real football, real
Mhm.
football. Who would you want on your real football team for the next 5 years? Jaden Daniels or Jalen Hurts?
Jalen Hurts.
Hmm?
Hurts.
Okay. Just
Oh
curious.
no,
I would
no,
go Hurts too.
I'd go Jaden Daniels.
To be honest, I think the Jaden Daniels hype train is starting to slow down a bit.
Yeah, he's had a couple bad weeks. Sam, as a Cowboys fan, how frustrating is it that both of these teams are really good this year and your team is not?
Ah, it sucks. It sucks. But honestly, the Cowboys can beat Jalen Hurts. He's not that good of a quarterback. Jaden
What was the
Daniels,
score last week?
I think he's gonna be a good. What's that?
I said, what was the score last weekend?
Uh,
Just catch me up. I turned it off in the second quarter because it was over.
yeah, no, but it wasn't because of Hurts. It was more because of Saquon and
Hey,
the defense.
hey. This is a friendly podcast here, okay?
But Jaden
I was just
Daniels, I would fear Jaden Daniels way more than I would fear Hurts.
I think Jaden Daniels is a little overrated as of right now, to be honest. But I guess we'll come find out towards the end of the season. Sam, we got to pick this matchup. Brian Robinson just got into the end zone. Um, Scott doesn't know if T. Higgins is going to play, so as of right now, he's got Quentin Johnson. If T. Higgins does play, he's probably rolling out Higgins. Who you got?
Hmm. Man, that's
I think it's
really
too
good
close to
matchup. It
call.
really is. But I like the people that Alvin Kamara and Brees Hall are facing. I mean, Devontae, he's got a good matchup also. Juwan's going to have a really good matchup. Uh, Probably going to roll with Dan on this one. Sorry, Scott.
Yeah,
All
you
right.
can't lose.
And I think this one's real close. I think Scott's gonna win. I kind of want Dan because I'm excited for Scott to do something irrational.
Don't do it, man. Don't do it.
Hey, I told you we're living by the models this year
Models only
until
go
they
so
stop
far.
working, and
Yeah.
they're not working right now.
All right, and probably the matchup of the week: Jimmy versus Mike. Both teams 5-5. Um, Winner of this, you must think, has a huge advantage in getting one of those last playoff spots. So we're looking here. The projections. Mike's projected to wipe Jimmy off the floor. So let's see why. Got Russell Wilson against Joe Burrow. Joe Mixon against Austin Eckler. Sam, Joe Mixon against the Dallas defense. How many points is he going for?
Oh my gosh. He's going to have at least 100 rushing yards and probably two TDs.
Big game for Joe Mixon on Monday Night Football. Austin Eckler with a great start to his game already, 5.9 fantasy points. But as of right now, this is the first time I'm seeing this. Jimmy currently has Ezekiel Elliott as his
That's a
RB2.
mistake because they just said it ain't going to be anybody else but Rico Dowdle.
All right, so Sam has that inside scoop. To be honest, even without that little insight from Sam, I'm not playing Ezekiel Elliott if he was the only running back on the waiver wire. Um, I mean, why? Okay, James Conner's on a bye. Wow, he's so slim at running back. Um, all right, so Zeke Elliott, obviously Mike's got DeAndre Swift against this Packers defense. And Sam, just kind of what you were saying for playoffs, DeAndre Swift goes against the Vikings, the Lions, and the Seahawks in the three playoff games.
Yeah, it'll be a really, I mean, he's got Detroit in week 13 also. And San Francisco's, they're real. I mean, he's got a really hard schedule. Minnesota, Detroit, San Francisco, Minnesota again, Detroit.
Well, it's crazy.
Seattle would be the only one that would be like, oh, okay.
I actually saw today the Bears have not played against a divisional opponent yet. So they played the
Neither
Packers.
have the Steelers.
Really?
Yeah, Steelers' first one is this weekend.
Yeah. So the Bears played the Packers still twice, Minnesota still twice, and the Lions still twice. That's brutal. And not to mention the 49ers in there and the Seahawks, who are always a credible team. Um, I think the Bears are in some trouble.
New offensive coordinator, new play caller. They just fired their guy.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know how much
I don't
that's
know
going to do though.
what difference that makes.
Yeah.
It's going to get colder, though. It's going to get colder. And whenever it gets colder, these bigger guys, they run better.
All right. Well, I guess we'll find out. And then Puka versus Jalen Waddle. I recently dropped Jalen Waddle. I've had enough of Jalen Waddle. Um, he's just unplayable. So Jimmy, good luck with Jalen Waddle. Xavier Worthy versus AJ Brown. Obviously, AJ Brown, a huge advantage there. Hawkinson, Jimmy's new tight end versus Brock Bowers. Amon-Ra against Cortland Sutton, who's been very nice lately. Top 20 receiver in fantasy over the last 5 weeks. Four of them with over 15. Obviously, he had that goose egg against the Saints, I believe, on Thursday Night Football. Um, Steelers, Bears, couple kickers, and unbiased Trey McBride, James Conner, obviously Mike Evans, not just out, but on his bye. And then, yeah, so I'll speak from Mike's point of view because Mike and I texted about this Swift Pickens deal for a tad bit on the day that we did it. He needed a running back. I mean, you're not going to be successful in the playoffs with running out Tyler Algier against another good team. So for the people, I believe like Jimmy, who was like kind of like roasting Mike in the Groomies, saying like you traded Pickens for him. It's just who else, what else were his options? There's not many RB2s out there on the market. Mike said he's been reaching out to other people. He didn't give me Puka or AJ Brown. Like he gave me George Pickens, and he still has Cortland Sutton in the flex. I think Mike, though, might have lost the deal in terms of losing the more talented player based on need. Mike needed a running back.
Yeah, he was wide receiver rich for sure.
Yeah, Scott, what do you think?
Uh, I believe last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, you were talking about how Cortland Sutton's been passed around and dropped and passed around and dropped.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to be passed around and dropped again.
Yeah, man, I miss the days of court and I mean look at look at his transactions.
Yeah,
Dropped by Chad, picked up by me, dropped by me, picked up by Mike. Um, so yeah, I think Cortland Sutton found a home on Mike's team, gives Mike's a nice flex, and was able to give Mike the flexibility then to trade for a running back. Um, I think Mike's got a pretty nice team actually. I got Mike blowing Jimmy out this week. Crucial win for Mike. What do
I
you
was
guys
going to say Mike should go. He's got two backups. He's got Tyler Algier and Zach Charbonnet. He should go for to that the owner of those other guys. And then I thought about it. That's me. I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, I was gonna say you got Bijan and Kenneth Walker, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, trade for a little handcuff.
yeah.
Yeah, and I see here Jimmy's had Trey Benson on his bench all year as a handcuff to James Conner. But James Conner is still a top 10 running back. Trey McBride, top 5 tight end. I actually inquired about Trey McBride, but Jimmy's asking price was Derrick Henry or Saquon, so I
Oh
immediately stopped thinking.
goodness. For a tight
yeah,
end.
that's kind of a non-starter.
Hey, to the whole league, tight ends, they're like kickers. Not gonna happen, man. They're not that viable. Okay, the whole league.
Careful, Chad will probably get upset with you saying that, like, and go off like,
I forgot he's got like
just
four
I'm
tight
just
ends.
warning you. He got all. I made a joke and he got all hostile in the group me last week. So
Yeah, it's just I just saw so many messages. Oh, I got tight end. I got this tight end. I got that tight end. Now I
Sam
picked
doesn't give
up
a
I
fuck
picked up
about your tight
Jatavian Sanders, guys. Jatavian Sanders, and I got 8.8. Okay.
hey,
end.
he scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
Hey Sam, after he scored a touchdown, Scott texted me saying Sam's tight end scored a touchdown. All right, so if we pick this game, unless Austin Eckler is going to continue scoring 7 points a quarter, I got Mike winning this one in a blowout.
Zeke Elliott is in Jimmy's lineup, so I'm gonna go with Mike. But the good news is someone will lose this game.
Yes, someone will fall to 5 and 6, which gives you more wiggle room just in case if you can't pull out a victory this week. Sam, what do you think?
Oh my gosh. I'd like to contradict, but I can't go with Jimmy. This got to be Mike, man.
Mike, hit up Sam for his Charbonnet or Algier. He's interested. All right, so we got Sam versus RJ. A must win for RJ. Sam, if you want one of those buys, just got to keep winning these games. You got Kyler on a buy.
Yeah, I
Um,
need to pick somebody up.
yeah, what are you thinking? Do you know anyone out there or no?
I actually totally forgot that Kyler was on a buy. I haven't even looked at anybody.
All right, well, maybe we can do that at the end of the show. Josh Allen
Tough
against
look for the
KC.
pod there.
What'd you say, Scott?
So that's a tough look for the pod.
Yeah, tough luck for the pod, Sam. You're one of the hosts of this pod and you don't know your quarterback's on a bye. Come on. This is why we can't get a fucking sponsor, man. Um,
It's content. It's content. I was doing it for the pod. I'm gonna, you know what?
gotcha. RJ picked up Audric Estime, the rookie. I believe he's a rookie. Um, 14 carries last week, but I'm not touching a Broncos running back. Sam obviously got his two lead horses here, Kenneth Walker and Bijan. Bijan has picked it up. Number 3 running back in fantasy football. Scott, look at Sam's running back these last 5 weeks of Bijan Robinson.
Pretty.
Yeah, Sam.
Yeah,
Oh, go on, Scott.
Sam, I don't know if you were watching last week, but
What about
the
Tampa
Falcons
Bay?
got it down to the 1 yard line and they gave it to Algier 3 straight plays and he couldn't get in. And then on fourth down, they gave it to Bijan and it was the easiest thing in the world.
Yeah. I don't know why they keep trying to give it to Algier. I mean, he was all right early on in the season, but he's not been whatever he was early on.
Yeah, and I see Bijan still hasn't been on his bye yet. Actually, didn't the Saints beat the Falcons this past week?
Yes.
Oh. Kenneth Walker, Najee Harris. RJ just traded Justin to get Najee Harris. He traded David Njoku. Najee Harris is a nice running back. Had back-to-back really good weeks, but they've been using Jaylen Warren a lot more than they were at the beginning of the year. And just looking at these schedules, Baltimore has like the best rush defense in the NFL. The Browns defense is very shaky, but Scott, I know you and I have said this before that their run defense isn't as bad as it was at the beginning of the year.
That is correct.
And then if you see like the playoffs, like they would have to play the Ravens and the Chiefs. Not ideal to run on either one. So Najee might just be a play until you get to the playoffs and try to trade him last week or something. Garrett Wilson, finally, Sam, possibly get Nico Collins. How'd you feel last week when they said that he was probably going to play and then they just didn't play him at all?
I was so mad. I was so mad. And then I looked at my schedule, my score. I was like, I'm so glad I'm so far ahead right now. I would have gone to Houston and freaking just lit everything on fire.
Yeah, and how do you feel that Nico Collins will be on a bye against Justin last week of the regular season?
Yeah, that's not good. That's why I was trying to offer him up, but it's all right.
Yeah, I think you roll with your guy. You're still 8-2
I mean,
without like a bye week
look
to
at his playoff schedule. It's Jacksonville and who was it?
Miami, KC, and Baltimore.
Oh, my bad. It was right before. Yeah, KC's not a good one, but Baltimore and Miami, I'll
Yeah.
roll with that.
Yeah, there's decent matchups and Darnell Mooney. Darnell Mooney, big game on Sunday, I'm going to predict because Drake London is going to get Patrick Surtained. So Darnell Mooney is going to get a bunch of targets. Devontae Smith, who's been really weird this year. I know he's ranked 22nd in fantasy, but it seems like if he doesn't catch a long touchdown every week, like 0.8, 3.4, I guess he's been better than I thought he was.
Yeah, but
But
look at those receptions. I mean, and sometimes those targets are not there.
yeah, like I've been noticing like Devontae Smith 60-yard touchdown, but without that 60-yard touchdown, I know you can't just take it away, but I like my players to have a little bit more volume than what Devontae Smith has been seeing, but so far not a catch yet today. Dalton Kincaid against Tucker Kraft. Scott, who's got the better flex, Jamar Chase or Lad McConkey?
Uh, Jamar Chase is, yeah.
22 and a half fantasy points a game. Lad McConkey, 12 points. So 10 points more, Sam. That's it. That's all you have to cover.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll make it up somehow.
Actually, they're playing against each other too, which is pretty cool.
Sunday Night Football.
Sunday Night Football. Texas.
It was flexed into Sunday Night Football. For those who may forget, it was originally supposed to be the Colts and Jets in Sunday Night Football.
Oh,
So,
thank you
thank you
for
to the league office for making that change.
yeah.
I did not know that. And then RJ's got his two running back Tampa Bay guys on a bye. Anthony Richardson. I believe I saw a report that the Colts are starting him again this week.
Yep.
Yep.
And Sam, if you were an NFL head coach, NFL manager, owner, whatever, you have this young quarterback. You play him at the beginning of the year, he gets injured. So you put in the vet. The vet struggles. So then you put back in the young kid. The young kid struggles, literally says, take me out. So you put in the vet. And now you're going back to the rookie. Like at some point, they have to choose, right?
Yeah, because it's two different types of mentalities also. Like Anthony Richardson is not, I mean, he's gonna have legs, you know, the receivers are going to know, okay, I'm only going to get like 2-3 seconds to get to my spot, or else nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would stick with I would stick with the vet, and I would tell, oh my gosh, who's over there with them?
Flacco.
Flacco. There you go. I would tell Flacco, hey, you're gonna have to stay there and suck it up, and you know what, Anthony Richardson, you better learn what not to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm
And what a
Scott
better person to learn what not to do than Joe Flacco. I mean, guy's good for a couple of touchdowns every game and a couple of pick sixes.
and
Yeah,
Scott,
I mean,
correct me
hey,
if
you did this right, you did this wrong. That's how you
correct
do it.
me
That's not how
if
you
I'm
do it.
wrong, Scott. The Colts are still competing for a playoff spot, right?
Yes, the AFC last wild card may be a 500 team, so they are very much in the mix.
Yeah, and they have the offensive weapons to be a dangerous team to play. So I would roll Joe Flacco out, and then Olave still in the IR, Jonathan Brooks still out. Sam, you're just gonna keep riding the Jonathan Brooks train on your IR, huh?
I mean, if they have them out, I'm just put them in there.
Yep. And then Tyrone Tracy, who's been a godsend for your team. The only relevant player on the Giants offense at this point, other than Malik Neighbors, on a bye of the worst offense in the NFL. This should be a close one. Once Sam picks up a quarterback, his projection is obviously going to go significantly higher than it is. Um, I don't know who's going to win this one. Man, RJ needs to win. Jamar Chase can go off for 40 any given week, but I like Sam's team a little bit more with these two running backs. I have to roll with Sam. These two running backs are just too powerful against these two running backs. Scott, what do you think?
I want to go back to what you just said about there only being two playable guys on the Giants.
Yeah.
Who did you play at quarterback last week?
Yeah. So, and I also believe I can go back and watch the pod that all three of us said Daniel Jones is going to have a nice week.
I believe so.
Yeah,
Uh,
we did.
okay. So it's not just, okay. So wait. Don't just throw me under the bus. So I'll bring
No,
you.
no, no. I was just asking who you played at quarterback last week.
Yeah, that was miserable. The only reason why it ended up being just below average is because he has a rushing touchdown. Um, but again, this matchup wasn't about me, Scott. So back to the question: who you got winning this matchup? Must win for RJ if he
Uh,
wants the playoff
this
run.
one's close. I don't know what's available on the waiver wire at quarterback right now.
Yeah, we'll take a look.
Probably Daniel Jones is an option, but
No.
he's on a bye week, so I guess that wouldn't help either. Um, I'm gonna lean Sam. I think Kenneth Walker probably has a good game. I know the matchup isn't great, but I think that game could actually be high scoring. I don't
Those two
think the
teams know each
49ers
other
are
very well.
what they've been.
Yeah, those two teams know each other very well. Seattle's not afraid of San Francisco. They play them hard.
They're coming off a bye week too, right, Seattle?
Yes.
Yes,
All right, Sam. Here are the quarterbacks that you could potentially choose from.
bro.
Uh,
I might take Drake May,
and actually, I was literally about to say, do Drake May or Geno Smith might be the most attractive ones on this list.
and that's
Jameis
exactly
revenge
what I'm
game.
thinking about.
Yeah, Jameis is going against the Saints, but the Saints got a nice defense. They're
It's
not.
been a lot worse this last like 6 weeks. I mean, they're living on their past laurels.
Or Sam, be a Dallas Cowboy fan and roll with Cooper Rush and see what happens. Roll the dice with Cooper.
Gosh, man,
On Monday Night Football, might win you the week, might lose you the week. How do you
not a
feel that
chance.
all three of these quarterbacks are Dallas Cowboys?
First of all, Trey Lance, the trade for Trey Lance was always a mistake. Dak Prescott, I've been saying it since his first, or actually his second contract, because I think this is his third contract. They needed to draft a QB. Give him the contract, fine. But in year 2, year 3, draft a QB, develop him. I might go with Drake May.
Yeah, Drake May's been kind of nice. He's got rushing upside, and the Rams can't be that great of a defense. I don't think it's a bad choice at all. Scott, which way would you possibly lean with Sam's team? I
Um,
would also consider Aaron Rodgers. I think this Colts game might be a high scoring game, to be honest.
I don't love any of it. There's nothing that screams play me. Drake May is probably high risk, high reward. If you want to play it safe, Rodgers is probably the play it safe. He's probably going to get you something. Jameis is also probably high risk, high reward.
That Saints Browns game, Scott.
Darnold, I would not play. He looked terrible last week.
Scott, that Saints Browns game, as you being a big Browns fan, you're going to be watching the game on Sunday. Over under
Mhm.
31 points.
Over.
Over under 40 points. See, that's where it
Go
gets a little
over.
shaky.
Over, but that's probably where the line should be. Jameis is like Flacco.
Over
He's good for, a couple interceptions, and I don't think the Saints defense is that great. There'll be points scored.
All right. And I believe we only have one last matchup. Kevin versus Mario. My TDs are real. Shout out to you, Kevin. Versus Mario. Obviously, Jalen Hurts has been on a bender lately. I mean, look at these games. Lowest scoring game since the bye has been 21 freaking fantasy points. I haven't had a quarterback score 21 points all year. Mario's rolling with Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert's actually been nice these last 3 weeks.
It's a
Um,
good play.
yeah, it looks like Mario might be a little desperate, kind of playing Justin Herbert. We'll see who his usual quarterback is. Jonathan Taylor, Jamar Gibbs, Josh Jacobs, Kareem Hunt. Mario really needs Tyreek Hill to be Tyreek Hill if he wants out of that last place spot. I'm concerned about Mario's team about coming in last place, to be honest. Zay Flowers, Josh Downs has been really nice when Joe Flacco plays. Sam, I believe last year you were a huge fan of Josh Downs. Am I right on that?
Yeah, well, he's a really good deep play guy, and he does get a lot of targets too.
Yeah, he
I
does.
mean, look at that.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's really shaky, kind of like the slot guys that New England used to have, with like Amendola and all that stuff. I think that that's kind of like his little mold, and that's really what they should try to fit him in more.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Downs is very talented. With Joe Flacco, I think he's a great play. With Anthony Richardson, I'm not too sure. Scott, last year, Travis Kelsey tanked your year at the end of the year once he started dating that girl named Taylor Swift. Travis Kelsey has been busting over these last couple weeks. Um, and I know last year, I mean, look at this 16 targets, 12 targets, 12 targets. At the beginning of the year, you and I were saying Travis Kelsey isn't that just tight end one anymore. And I know technically he's still not tight end one, but does it grind your gears even the slightest a bit seeing what Travis Kelsey is doing when last year he just totally dropped the ball for you in those last couple weeks?
Uh, I wouldn't say it grinds my gears that bad. It's what it is. You watch two of the Chiefs play, and they're focusing him. I think early in the year they were trying to be more explosive, throw the ball down the field with Worthy, Rice, uh, and that offense really wasn't clicking. Now that they've gone back to what they've done the last couple of years of long drives, moving the ball down the field, executing in the red zone, Kelsey's been the big beneficiary of it.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
I wish he would have played better down the stretch last year, if that's what you're asking, but
and then Zach Ertz,
whatever.
my Zach Ertz hurts or whatever that team name is. Um,
My Balzac hurts.
yeah, my ball Zach Ertz. Hi, Selma. Debo Samuel, Ramondre Stevenson. Whoa, I'm not watching the game. It's on behind me. Jake Elliott, 0 for 2 on field goals in the first half.
Yes.
Oh, -2 points for Kev's kicker. Um, yeah, I mean, this is kind of an important matchup for Kev too, just to kind of keep float with all the other teams battling for that last playoff spot. He's got quite a bit of buys. Devin Singletary, K. Dotton, who's been a great addition for him. Austin Seibert, the number one kicker in fantasy. At least he was last week, but he didn't play last week, so dropped down a couple spots. Ricky Parcells been nice since he came back from his
Shot.
injury.
Getting shot.
Yeah. Yeah, Wendell Robinson not been relevant for weeks. Amari Cooper, Mario doesn't trust him enough to set him in at least on Thursday night. I don't know who's going to win this one. This one's going to be close. It's a must win for Mario if he wants any chance for the playoffs. I'm probably going to lean Kev because I like his running backs a little bit more, but it should be a close one, Scott.
I've been a believer in Kev all year, but I want him to lose this week. So I'm going to pick Mario for purely that reason.
All right, Sam.
Yeah, I like Kevin's team, but if he substitutes MVS for Amari Cooper, I think he'll be all right. He'll be better than what he's got right now.
I mean, look at this. 0-0. I mean, he only had 3 catches last week, and he still put up 26 fantasy points. Yeah, Mario, you got to take MVS
Just
out.
went to the Saints last week or 2 weeks ago.
Did he?
Yeah, previously with the Buffalo. Was that Buffalo?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Acquired by. He was like on the practice squad.
Yeah, but this guy, man, I mean, who has he had it? He was on the practice squad in Buffalo with Josh Allen. He couldn't get on. Oh man, I don't know.
Yeah,
He's
Mario.
had Aaron Rodgers. He couldn't do anything with Aaron Rodgers. That guy's not good.
I'm benching MVS. I'm playing Amari Cooper. I agree with you, Sam. All right. So those are the matchups. I do have a little game for us to play, as I always do at the end of the show. Let me pull it up. All right. So last week, if you guys remembered, I had you guys try to name the top 15 fantasy scores who are not quarterbacks. Remember?
Oh yeah.
And you guys failed. So
not miserably. I mean, we failed just slightly.
It's still failure.
Yeah,
so.
That seems a bit harsh.
We got like 13/15ths of it.
All right. So this time around, I have 5 lists of players, and I'll show you guys this so you guys can get a visual. You guys have to tell me on an average points per game basis, not total points, average points per game out of the 3 players' names you'll see, what player averages the most points? Again, not total points on the season, average points a week.
Per game, okay.
Now, I did not choose someone who just went crazy one week and all the other weeks has done nothing. These are all relevant fantasy players. You just have to tell me from the list that each player is going to be on who averages the most points a week. Make sense?
Yep.
All right, give me 1 second to write these answers on my phone so you guys can see the visual so I don't have to name all the players every time.
You make a PowerPoint or something?
It's a Google Doc.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to share my screen real fast. I got to bold all these. Okay. Where's my Zoom? Share. All right. Can you guys see this?
I thought there would be like a picture of the player.
No. No, again, we're not sponsored. Okay. So before we start, number 1 is just quarterbacks. Number 2 is quarterbacks. 3 is running backs. 4 is running backs. And number 5 is wide receivers. You guys are working as a team. You're not allowed to miss one. Actually, I'll give you 1 miss. Anything less than 1 miss, you fail. So you got to pass with 80%.
I can tell you on number 1, it's not Patrick Mahomes.
So
that's not Mahomes.
On an average points per game, you guys have to tell me who averages the most points. Is it Geno? Is it Mahomes? Or is it Bo Nix? You guys get one miss in order to win this week. You guys can talk or elaborate, but one of you need to lock in the answer at some point. So who averages more fantasy points per game this season? Gino, Mahomes, or Bo?
So Bo, when he started off very shaky. That might throw that him off.
I was leaning Bo over Gino,
Uh,
but I don't know.
hmm. I
Bo's got more rushing yards. That's kind of and been playing pretty well lately.
he's got to have been really hot lately. And I know that he's been good. Yeah, that's great. We can go Bo Nix if you want.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
It's also his quarterback, so this week he probably wants to hype him up.
I will tell you that is incorrect. It is
Gino.
it is Gino by the slightest of margins. Um, let's go to all players. Bo Nix averages 16.7 a week. Geno Smith, 16.9.
Wow.
Okay, so
Geno got it by point 0.2. Still wrong. All right. So you guys are 0 for 1.
All right.
yeah, that was tough though. I mean, we're talking point 2 points here.
Point. Give me the point 0.2 points every week, baby. All right. Next one. Stroud, Darnold, Lawrence. Average points per week.
Stroud has been very disappointing this year. Sam Darnold has had some really good games. I don't. It's not Trevor. I don't think it's Trevor Lawrence.
I don't think it's Trevor. I agree with your reasoning. I think Darnold, but yeah, who knows?
Are we guessing Darnold?
I,
We're gonna guess Darnold.
Okay. In
we already failed, I guess. So
this one, you got two X's because it is indeed Trevor Lawrence. Um,
Son of a.
so if we go to, let's see,
No way.
Trevor Lawrence averages 16 a game, Darnold at 15.8, and look at how far down CJ Stroud is.
14.
All the way down to 14. I'm pretty sure Johnny drafted CJ Stroud pretty high. 5th round for the number 14th, 16th quarterback. That might be one of the worst picks of the draft.
So far we're off by what? 0.3 points.
Doesn't matter. Still 0 for 2, baby. All right. We're getting a little easier because now we're on to the running backs. Ken Walker, Gibbs, or Kyron?
How's that easier?
I don't know.
yeah, those are all guys that are all right in the same.
Well, yeah, it wouldn't have been fun if I would have picked guys outside the zones of each other.
And we're talking differences of points.
Yes, yes, we are. Ken Walker, Gibbs, or Kyron. And I will give you a clue. We spoke about this exact statistic a couple weeks ago on the pod.
Dude, I
We
don't even
I
remember
think
what
it's
I wore yesterday.
well, Sam,
I think
that's
it's
a
one
you
of the
problem.
guys in the NFC.
Um,
What you say, Scott?
they're all in the NFC,
It's,
aren't
yeah, that was my point.
they?
I have no clue. It could be any of them.
um, I mean, Kyron scores touchdowns on the regular. I think he's only had one game where he hasn't scored a touchdown. He's had to be almost the guy. Gibbs, I mean, he scores really well, but again, he doesn't have to be the guy. He's got Montgomery there, and he's got other weapons that kind of even it out. I'm thinking maybe it's Kyron. Ken's been injured.
Walker missed a few games,
Yeah.
so
I'm gonna
that benefits him in this, I guess. But
Oh, well, it might because
Yeah,
the
it's average
damage
per
goes
game.
up.
Give me something, boys.
The guy with the K.
Who?
I'm
NFC running back starts with a K.
I'm still thinking it's Kyron.
All right,
All right,
you
let's
guys
do
went
that.
Kyron. It is Kenneth Walker.
Son of a
Actually, Kenneth Walker is actually top 5 in average points per game at a running back this season. With Gibbs and Kyron being a whole point off this time. So don't be talking that talk. He's a whole point off.
1 point.
All right. How about this one? Kareem Hunt, Rashad White, J.K. Dobbins.
This one has to be Hunt.
Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
Well done. I knew that one you guys would get right because it's such an outlier, just a random name. It is Kareem Hunt. Let's see how far down Kareem Hunt is.
They already went past him.
Here's Rashad White. Where's Kareem Hunt?
He's way up. He's up
Dobbins up
higher.
Oh
there.
shit, Kareem Hunt is all the way up here, averaging nearly 17 points a week. Great pickup by Mario. And then the last one, wide receivers, JSN, Marvin Harrison, or Cortland Sutton.
I want to say JSN, but I'm probably wrong.
I mean, Marvin's had some duds. Sutton's had some
That's
duds.
what I was thinking.
Yeah. Probably JSN, yeah.
It is indeed JSN. JSN, I actually saw today, is a top 15 wide receiver right now in fantasy in total points scored. So here's his average. He averages 14. Um, yeah, I mean Cortland Sutton averages 12. Marvin Harrison all the way down to less than 12 points. But if you just click on JSN's, I did not expect JSN to be a top 15 wide receiver this year in fantasy football. What do you guys think about JSN?
They drafted him for that. They drafted him to take that spot.
Yeah, I mean, he's just had 2 pretty big weeks. I don't expect JSN to be a top 20 receiver by the end of the year.
180 yards. Holy crap.
Scott, what are your thoughts about JSN?
On my other league, I played him that week against the Rams, or I didn't play him that week against the Rams because Puka came back, and I believe that's the game Puka got kicked out of.
Yeah, he got ejected.
Yeah, so I played the guy that got ejected and over the guy who went for 37. So,
Fantasy football, baby.
I did the same thing in my other league.
yeah, it's stupid. I don't know why we do this every year.
Yeah. All right. Before we log off, Sam, Scott, do you guys have any words to yourselves, to us, to the league, to your matchup? Anything you guys would like to say to the probably 2 people who watch us?
Go Cowboys.
Go Cowboys. Scott?
I'd appreciate it if Jaden Daniels, it's almost halftime, and I'd like him to score a touchdown at some point tonight, preferably more than one.
I'm assuming Saquon or Scary Terry haven't done much.
No, a lot of
Mm,
punts.
Yeah, gosh.
yeah. Who
All
got
right.
the touchdown for Washington?
Robinson.
Oh, that's right.
All
Yeah,
right,
the guy.
guys.
Yeah,
We
Etienne's been doing pretty good though. Not Etienne, Eckler.
Yeah, Eckler, yeah. We got
yeah.
4 weeks to go. Seems like it's a must win for a lot of teams, or Scott would say it's a not lose.
It's a can't lose.
It's a
Can't
can't
lose.
lose, but
Yeah.
they can
So
tie.
some teams have must wins. I'm just saying, me and Dan are in a can't lose.
Fair enough. Good luck to everyone this upcoming week. 4 weeks left to go. Um, and yeah, it's going to be close. And the people who are competing at the bottom, the playoffs are still in reach, but also it's not coming in that last place. So good luck to the both of you this upcoming week. And hopefully next week we can all have an extra dub on our names.
Yeah.
Be nice.
Good luck. Good luck.
All right. Cheers, boys.
See you guys.
See ya.